It's the Score North Twin Show.
Alert. Alert. The Twins are on the grid today. The Twins are on the immaculate grid today. None of us have done it yet. We will unveil the immaculate grid. We know the Twins are on it. We will unveil it later in the show here, but I am so excited.
Now, Declan, you have seen it, correct? So do you know the teams? Because I don't even look at that.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, he knows the teams. You have to look at the grid.
But I'm saying I'm just excited by who the teams are. Because this is where you can really go. Like Phil did a Cardinals-Vikings one. You should brag about that just a little bit. That's a thing of beauty.
I know this is the Twin Show and no one cares.
Yeah, but still, it's the immaculate grid. I love the immaculate grid.
Because the football one had the Vikings on it. So you needed a Viking who was a Cardinal, a Viking who was a Lion, and then a Viking with 1,000-yard rushing season. And I just did those three. I didn't even do the rest of the grid. Right. I don't know. When you've got perfection here. So Terry Allen for the 1,000-yard rusher was 0.7%. Jerry Ball for the Lion who was a Viking was 0.4%. So that's 1.1%. And then Mike Morris, our friend, the superstar Mike Morris, as the Cardinal who was a Viking at 0.004%. 1.1%. Oh, I love the grid.
That's a beautiful thing.
Right. Dex, give us one of the other teams on the grid. Just off the top of your head.
Milwaukee.
Okay. Ooh. Oh. I'll let that marinate in your heads.
Oh, I've got one.
All right.
Old school. And I know I'm right this time. It's Mickey Rivers.
Okay, I don't know if we trust you anymore.
Yeah, well, thanks, Bob Feller.
Wow. Yeah, I've lost my trust card in this game a long time ago. So let's get to some Feedback Friday questions from you guys, you crazy Twins fans, as we gear up for this stretch run here. We should update the magic number count here. I don't know if the graphics team had time overnight or not.
The graphics team, I believe, was secretly on the boat and then having a few extra cocktails at home last night.
Yeah. It's okay. Oh, boy. The graphics team took it home, huh?
They did. They did take it home.
That's always an issue.
The Guardians got nipped in the bottom of the ninth. The Guardians took a one-run lead over the quitting Angels. The irony here. The Angels dumped half their roster to the Guardians. And the Guardians took a one-run lead into the ninth. And Clase blew the save. A 3-2 win for the Angels. So now the Guardians are 6.5 games back of the Twins entering the weekend here. The Twins get 3 against the fading New York Mets and then 3 against the feisty, fighting Tampa Bay Rays at home. By the way,
blown a lot of saves this season. He's got a lot, but he's blown a lot.
Yeah. Twins.com/tickets if you want to go to some of these games. Great. It's a great crisp fall air here on a Friday night. Mets, Rays, September relevant baseball. Twins looking to clinch the division and a playoff spot for the first time in a few years. Twins.com/tickets if you want to hang out at the ballpark. The best bar in the Twin Cities, by the way.
Rays series intrigues me a lot. I really want to see that because the Rays are obviously good. Their second half has not been as good as their first half. But like that's I think that should be sort of a fun marker of where this team is at a bit.
Well, but the last time you said that was Texas, and then the Twins took 5 of 7 from Texas. They're at a 16-game lead.
That's what I'm saying.
Or 16
I'm looking forward to it.
No, but then you dismissed it. They took 5 of 7 from Texas, and now after the fact, you're like, "Well, but the bullpen was bad," and blah blah blah.
No, I said don't blow it in the playoffs. Don't screw up. No, as Declan put out on Twitter, all I said was Rocco and Derek get out of the way and allow this team to do its job. No, the Texas thing was impressive, and I'd love to see Texas because the bullpen is bad in Texas.
So, by the way, on the magic number feedback countdown, so if the I was reading, because the magic number website that I use, because I'm not doing the actual hand math.
It's pretty easy now, though, right? You're
it's
just
mostly pretty easy, but I was told if the Twins had won the season series on Wednesday, it actually would have gone down an extra game on top of the 2 that would have happened.
They lose the tiebreaker.
So I don't know if I think this website, I don't know if that's factoring in the tiebreaker anymore, but I still think this is accurate.
It's close enough. If we need to calibrate in like a week or something, we can calibrate. Well, there's a few comments here from the YouTube comment section, the Score North YouTube channel where the Score North Twin Show lives, and then the feedback tab in the Score North app that they picked up on the fight we had on the show the other day about Judd's attitude. And some people that are kind of coming to your defense here. Paul Wade says, Phil, I think you were too hard on Judd's Twins negativity. What Judd has is Twins apprehension. This current regime's bad trade for injured pitchers, mishandling pitching staffs during games, questionable lineups. Why wouldn't Judd have apprehension? I think Judd's biggest fear is that the opponent in the first playoff game will use a right-handed opener and Rocco will have put all his left-handed bats in the lineup. And then in the second inning, a real starter and a left-hander will come in and Rocco will remove all of his left-handed bats and now they don't have a bench and oh my God, the sky's falling. By the way, I would buy a Score North shirt that said, Judd, you need to listen to me.
Judd, you need to listen to me. All from my dreams.
Wow.
And I'll give you one more here too, and you can just respond here. Tevin Mulvick says, Phil and Declan were saying on Wednesday's show that Judd was too critical of the Twins. Judd, be as critical as possible until they win a damn playoff game. Just think of how positive you were during the 2019 season, thinking, holy crap, they might go to the World Series. And then being traumatized by the results. Do not let up until they win.
And just to be very, very clear, because Royce Lewis has changed my feeling about this team as far as the players go, my criticism revolves around Falvey, Levine, maybe to a certain point. I don't know. I don't like to tie those two together as much now. And Rocco Baldelli. So my criticism, I think my apprehension remains very founded because I am apprehensive about people who have shown a propensity to screw things up. So, I'm not saying Royce Lewis is going to fail in the playoffs or, Carlos Correa. I mean, will he ground into a key double play? Perhaps, probably. But my real, in 2019, that's a good parallel. You know why? Because that team was pretty damn good. And I got taken up with, my God, it's not the same team that's lost all these playoff games. Rocco Baldelli's new. I thought Rocco's first year went very well. It partially had to do with the influence that Nelson Cruz had. And now I've seen Rocco and I've seen this administration handle playoff games. And yeah, until they don't step on their own foot in a playoff game to submarine their own team and players, I'm going to be apprehensive. That's a very good word. I'm apprehensive.
Right. But I think to say that Declan and I aren't a little apprehensive, like we've lived through the 0-18
I'm not speaking for you guys. Well. They are. I'm not speaking for you guys.
But to me, this is like there's like a meta conversation about the show happening on top of our Twins conversations, which is, okay, you're apprehensive, and Declan and I are also kind of apprehensive. And by the way, I think where you're coming from, it does naturally balance out where maybe Declan and I are coming from. And it happens to probably bring a great balance to the show, and we should all be true to ourselves. So I'm not saying you should necessarily like flip a 180. But when the Twins take the first two games against Cleveland and people come into the show here and they're excited and the offense is clicking and Royce Lewis and the starting pitching and all this stuff, and Declan and I are like, yeah, we're a little apprehensive, but wow, this thing's going in the right direction. And then you have a 5-gallon bucket of water, cold water that you're pouring on it. That's where we stepped in and we're like, I mean, okay, like we're apprehensive too, but they're doing a lot of the things that we wanted them to do a couple months ago when we were all ready to, nuke the organization again.
There's definitely times to be positive. Like, remember when they got swept by the Royals going to the All-Star break, and both of you guys said, don't even buy at the deadline. It's not worth it. And I kind of was the one that said, hold on. It's one sweep. It's not going to define your season. However, I will say you guys were warranted to come in with criticism after being swept by the worst GD team in baseball on the heels of the trade deadline. There's time and place, to Phil's point, of being positive and negative. I found it just very interesting that after two really nice wins against the Guardians, you basically took a dump on the Twins for like 10 minutes.
Well, because I am looking ahead to the fact, as sports dad, they're going to make the playoffs. I truly believe that. And it's my job to get ahead of that now, to caution those who need caution to back off to do so. And by the way, on the deadline still, I stand by my statement. Would it be nice to have bullpen help right now? Perhaps. And by the way, their bullpen's not a complete mess. Like Texas is a complete mess.
And Louis Varland looks like he's a nice little addition to that.
And my point was, if you can make the playoffs with this team, knock yourself out. At that point, I was, until Cleveland dumped itself, I was not convinced. But I still stand by, and I don't think I've criticized them for not making deadline trades because I said, you know what? If this team can do it, that's cool, but I am not giving up future. I'm not entertaining prospects, especially good ones, for what appears to be, you're going to win a bad division. But right now, I am looking ahead to the goal of this show, which is to win a playoff game, and I can firmly tell you that's going to get done by people not getting in the way of a possible win.
Brigetti Kirby chimes in the YouTube comment section here. Everyone's saying this is the most excited they've been since the early 2000s. Is all with hindsight. 2019. There's no way everyone here wasn't more excited during the Bomba season.
Good point.
Stop it. That's fair.
That's 100% right.
I think it is. It's fair to say that this is among the most excited, and it's but that even to say well, the young nucleus, they had a young nucleus then too, or at least a nucleus that was emerging into their primes. You had Kepler and Buxton and Sano and all the Rosario was on that team, so that's fair.
I would say the 2019 season definitely had a lot more excitement and fun, and we had a lot more belief in that throughout the duration of the whole Twins season. I believe, though, the parallel between the young players like Royce Lewis, Edward Julian, Matt Wallner, Kirilloff when he gets back, I do think that is reminiscent of what they were able to start building in the early 2000s. So I think there's two sides to that conversation.
Yeah, 2019 was definitely more of a consistent high. This has been a roller coaster ride, but I will say, and I'm sort of the poster child of this statement. Royce Lewis redefines how we feel about this team. Mm-hmm. I do think Royce Lewis brings a factor that the majority of young players do not have.
And we're going to get to a Royce Lewis comment here in a second, but just to the point about the nucleus. And so you got this nucleus led by Royce Lewis and Wallner and Julian and whoever else you want to put in that bin. I think the most disappointing part about the 2019 season is that it kind of marked the peak of that generation of Twins players. You had a bunch of dudes who were 25 through 27, franchise cornerstone young players that were top 50 Baseball America prospects emerging and having career seasons, and Sano and Kepler and Buxton. That nucleus, including on the pitching side, Jose Barrios. They actually have a better pitching staff now than they did then, but they had Barrios. They decided not to sign into an extension. A couple years later, they traded him, right? That nucleus was supposed to be a 3 to 5 year window of divisions and competing and maybe winning a World Series. The pandemic hits. They did win a division in an abbreviated season, fart noise in the playoffs, and that was it. Missed the playoffs 21, 22. Sano gets worse in his prime. Kepler gets worse in his prime. Buxton can't stay healthy. So, that era of Twins baseball just leaves a really sour taste in people's mouths. And hopefully this one can be more like the early 2000s one where they actually largely stick together for many, many years.
Yes.
But maybe they can go beyond only winning the one series that core won 20 years ago.
And so here's my deep fear, my deepest, darkest fear is this. Game 2 at Yankee Stadium 2019, when they start Dominic, was what are you doing? Huh? Because up until then, we praised, rightfully so, Rocco had been great. The Twins had made a lot of good decisions. And Falvey looked great at that point. But then in Game 2, they start Dominic. It's hold on a second. This is the playoffs. This guy drove an Uber 6 months ago. And then the real thing that has sent me off the cliff was 2020, an Astros team that, if I'm not mistaken, was the only playoff team that season to make the playoffs under 500. I think they finished a game under. And go back and watch those two games. One of those games was winnable as hell. At least one, if not both. And that's why I've got this PTSD for the playoffs now. Because that's where I was like that Astros series. I walked out of that series angry.
Yeah. And what's funny, and maybe this is revisionist too, but I don't have those Twins teams in the early 2000s. They looked uptight and nervous. It's funny how swaggy they were in the regular season, but then when they got into these Yankee series, it was the bats were gripped tighter, and I had been told by people in that room too that Gardenhire kind of contributed to that at times. Everything was a little tighter. I don't get that sense with some of these guys like the Julians and certainly Royce Lewis's. But in fairness, revisionist, I also didn't get that sense from the Bomba squad. That team felt like, oh, they don't give a rip, man. Eddie, Rosario, like Sano, these guys are just going to walk in. So I don't know, man. I have PTSD, but I don't have the same PTSD maybe that you do. I think there is a bit more of a clean slate here than going back and comparing to 3 years ago.
So here's the weird thing. The Twins team that turned it around in Gardy's first year in beat the A's was 2002, right?
Mm-hmm.
So here's the weird thing. That team had swagger.
Mm-hmm.
In retrospect, and I'm not saying that this trade was not a great trade, and I'm not saying Joe Mauer is not a Hall of Fame catcher.
Wow. Oh, this is a take.
But
this
in retrospect, who's got the most swagger of anyone on those teams? And he was hated.
And
by
he
some
was
of his
great. And he was great.
AJ
and durable.
Pierzynski. Do you think for one second that AJ Pierzynski would have given a flying bleep about the New York Yankees?
Okay.
When everybody else was like, "Oh my God, I gotta go to the bathroom. I'm so nervous." AJ Pierzynski would have said, "Bring them on."
So Joe Mauer was a far superior player to AJ Pierzynski.
100%. And let's be very clear about that.
However, Mauer was injured for the 2004 run. He was injured for the 2000. Well, I guess he was there for 2009 and 10, and then he got injured again in 11. 06, he was there. He was a batting title winner there. So he was. I mean, he didn't have like big playoff runs or anything. If you could have, but then you got Liriano. There's no argument there. There's
I know.
And Joe Nathan. I was trying to make an argument. There is no argument. It's one of the best trades in Twins.
The trade was fantastic. All I'm saying is that swagger not being there did impact them.
Well, dude, you know who else had swagger? David Ortiz.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, you're right, and you gave him away. That's a great point.
Interesting. On Royce Lewis, who does have swagger. Dash 9658 on YouTube says, if Lewis had the same number of at-bats as Mookie Betts, his numbers would extrapolate to 39 bombs and 117 RBIs this year. It's not always that easy, but it is fair to say that the Twins just kind of snapped their fingers and put one of the best hitters in baseball in their lineup for a postseason run.
Yep.
Or one of the hottest hitters anyways.
At a position where they were basically trying to play fringe guys, too.
Mm-hmm.
So now you got two shortstops on the left side of your infield. And Royce might not be a completely polished, perfect third baseman, but he's made some great plays, too.
Yeah.
So.
Let's see here.
David Ortiz, you're so right about that, too. Can you imagine?
Well, and then, I mean, Ortiz, you could have had him around for like the 06. Imagine putting him on that 06 team, too. And
you probably don't lose that series, and you certainly don't look like a whimpering bunch of whatever they were in that series. That was terrible.
Immaculate grid coming up here momentarily, but Rick Meisch chimes in on YouTube and says, all three of you guys wanted to sell everyone in St. Paul to get loaner players to go to the World Series a couple years ago and last year. Eat your words. We have players on the team now, young guys who are making a mark. And then Sam Doroff says, you guys, especially Declan, constantly beg for the Twins to destroy their farm system for rental players, trade Royce Lewis. If you ran the front office, we wouldn't have any of these guys you are praising.
If I ran the front office, I'd have the same amount of Twins playoff wins as they do. So what argument do you really want to make here? Look, if we're talking about, and yes, it's hilarious. It's blown up because Ohtani's now injured. It's the greatest baseball player that's ever played for the last 10, 15 years. I know Mike Trout's in that conversation too. But I was okay with doing that at the time. And I'm okay with trading your prospects when it's time to trade your prospects.
I was never okay with the Ohtani thing for reasons that we've debated because he was a rental player. Where people are throwing it back at me is 2 years ago. This is 2 years ago. I said, hey, I would trade an injured Royce Lewis and just roll the dice that he's never going to stay healthy for 2 years of Frankie Montas before Frankie Montas got hurt. But that's the risk of trading for pitchers. So, but I think in general, teams and the Twins tend to be too frugal when it comes to what you have to give up to get an impact player. And then when they do trade capital, like Spencer Steer, for instance, it's for known injured pitchers. So I guess first of all, we're gonna be wrong, and we've clearly been wrong a lot on this show. But generally speaking, if you look at a top 10 prospect list for any organization and then compare it 5 years later, 10 years later, it's a lot of guys like Aaron Hicks and Ben Revere and Jason Kubel that, you know what? They really aren't as good as Max Kepler, right? Oh, my God. Miguel Sano, that they don't pan out to the level that you think. Hopefully Royce Lewis does, and if he does, it'll be one of my worst takes of all time, the Frankie Montas thing. But
yeah, and I would say that the one thing with Royce that we can't assume, because I think we assumed it would change with Buxton, and it has never changed, is that he is going to stay healthy.
It's a big if.
That's a big if.
That's
this
right.
guy
Go
has
get it.
torn
Go
his
get one
ACL
now, man.
twice.
Go make a run this year. He's healthy right now. Go make a freaking
and
run
he's a great
right
player.
now.
And from a fan standpoint, I hope he has a great career and does not get hurt again. But, Byron Buxton, there's going to be a conversation here at the end of the day, I think, unfortunately, with Buxton. It's going to be one of the saddest things in Minnesota sports, the what if there.
Yeah. Yep. Well, maybe he'll come back and do like a Kirk Gibson hobble out for one big home run or something in the postseason.
The thing that sucks, though, is his whole game was built upon those knees working.
Yep. Well, that ship is gone from the
you're
port. Hey, over right now at scorenorth.com/shop, we have a collectibles wing. You can click on the collectibles section, and there's some really cool Twin stuff in here. Actually, I'm looking kind of toward the bottom here. Torrey Hunter signed it's a custom white baseball jersey signed by Torrey Hunter. That's pretty badass. You can buy that right now.
Mm-hmm.
There's some great Viking stuff in here right now. I love that Sandlot for baseball fans, the Sandlot cast signed custom baseball jersey. How cool would that be in a man cave or, hung up on your office wall or something? Scorenorth.com/collectibles. Use the code SCORE, SKOR, to save 10% on all products site-wide, thanks to our friends at Universal Sports Auctions. And a shout-out to our friends over at Power Lodge and Miller Marine here. So whether it's on water or on land, it all starts with Power Lodge. You've got anything from Bennington pontoons all the way over to the land-based ATVs and snowmobiles. We're still milking summer for everything it's worth you the next few weeks, Judd. It's not over yet.
Throttle therapy, my friend, and I looked a week from Sunday. It's supposed to be, I believe, 80 degrees. Well, let's just say the Vikings play on Thursday night. That means you're going to have a Sunday free from football. What better way to spend it than on the water, on a Bennington? Yeah. Again, after two Vikings games, you know what you might need? Some throttle therapy.
Let me talk to you.
Power Lodge and Miller Marine are there for you.
That's powerlodge.com and millermarine.com. All right, the Twins are on the grid. We've waited long enough here, boys. Let's pop this thing up and see who else is on the grid. Okay. So here's how this works. It's a tic-tac-toe board of baseball history. We're looking to go 9 for 9. That's how you become immaculate. You have to go 9. You get 9 guesses to fill out the 9 squares. If you whiff on one, you are not immaculate. The rarity score is essentially the more obscure the players you can put in here, the lower the rarity score. For us, anything under 50 would be great for us based on our history. So we're looking for a Twin who was a Brewer, a Twin who was an A, and a Twin who struck out 200 batters in a season. We're looking for an Oriole who was a Brewer, an Oriole who was an A, and an Oriole who had 200 Ks in a season. And then we're looking for a Cardinal who was a Brewer, a Cardinal who was an A, and a Cardinal with 200 strikeouts in a season. We arbitrarily put 6 minutes on the clock just to keep a parameter here. But
today we're going to put 20.
Dude, the Twins are on the grid. All right, I'm starting the clock right now.
Okay.
Let's start with let's just throw some names around here for these Twins categories and see how obscure we can get.
So for me, we mentioned this guy last week, and I went and looked him up, and I told myself I need to bookmark this when this happens. Hosmil Pinto did have a stop with the Brewers after his flame out with the Twins.
Wow.
Okay.
So you cheated, but not like for this one. You
not
looked
for
it
this
up.
one.
Okay, that's fair.
No, I've just known that this would be on here eventually.
The old school one was one of the first Twins to leave as a free agent. A Twin who was a Brewer was Larry Heisel.
I think Hosmil Pinto is more rare.
I do too.
Okay.
But I got to say what I know.
Yep. No, throw it out.
Fans need to hear me.
Kyle Loesch, Paul Molitor. There's a lot of
Paul's gonna be number one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's do it, dude. Let's do Hosmil Pinto.
Hosmil Pinto.
Come on, under 1%, one time.
Oh, beautiful.
0.06.
Hey, before I forget this quickly, a Cardinal. Do you guys recall Steven Piscotty?
Yes.
Yeah, I remember Piscotty.
His mom had
he was an A, right?
yeah,
Yep.
and his mom had ALS, and I think
Yep.
he lived in the Bay, so the Cardinals traded him home. That's got to be a rare one, right?
I don't know if it'll be rare necessarily. It'll be low.
Let's see.
It's got
The only one I was going to think of was Matt Holliday.
Dudes, there's twins on here.
Yeah.
Nick Punto, I'm pretty sure played for both the Cardinals and the A's.
Yep.
Hold on a second on that. I just want to. I'm pretty sure he played for.
I'm
both
pretty
those
sure you're
teams.
right. I'm pretty sure he played for the A's. He played for the A's. He played for the Cardinals. He played for the Red Sox because we used him 2 days ago.
Oh, no, I don't think Plouffe went to the Orioles.
Well, Valencia played for the A's and the Orioles.
Yep.
How far could we go with just twins on this grid?
All
Right? Valencia is an A and an Oriole, right?
Yes.
Okay, let's throw him in.
0.8.
0.8%. Come on. And then
I'm pretty
Punto,
sure, right?
Punto played for the Cardinals for sure, and I'm 90% sure he played
Yeah.
for the A's.
I think he had a cup
We can
of
save it
coffee.
for the end if you want to make it
Yeah,
dramatic.
save it for the end.
Okay, for
Okay.
a twin who was an A, do you guys remember Sam Fuld?
Sam
Super
Fuld?
Sam Fuld?
I think he's the assistant GM there.
He's the
or a
GM of the Phillies,
somewhere.
right?
Is he really?
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
think
he's
he's
a GM.
GM
now.
of the Phillies. Yeah.
Oh, was Craig Breslow an A?
Oh,
Because he's
boy.
another assistant GM. But
Yeah.
Sam Fuld would be, I think,
Craig
pretty obscure.
Breslow is an up and coming superstar as the Cubs.
I would say
assistant GM.
With Twins
Fuld.
connections.
Fuld or Bobby Kilty.
See, I think Kilty is like kind of a Twins household name that
Fold's
people are
going to
going to.
be Fold's going to be more rare than Kilty, I think.
Is Fuld under 2%? I don't know. Let's see.
0.6.
0.6.
Oh, Sam Fold.
Let's go. Okay, you want to knock out the Twins 200K season? Camilo Pascual for sure did it back in the 60s if you want to start there for like a rarity.
Yeah, like Blyleven, but Pasquale's good. PASC.
Is there a more-
I,
There you go.
I would
Camilo.
be.
Is there a more rare than Camilo Pascual?
I
on
think
here?
it's going to be pretty rare.
You guys are sure you got to 200?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, yeah.
It's a lot of innings back then, so I feel like it's easier to
Yeah.
do it. You
Yeah.
might have been like a okay.
He was a big strikeout guy. I'm pretty sure he
Great
led the league
curveball.
in strikeouts one year.
1%. And right there, he is in a Senator's cap. So
Yeah.
take that,
Oh.
you youngsters. It's Washington Senators, the original.
Okay, so I'm just
200K
like I'm trying to rack my
200Ks.
brain for these Brewers ones too.
Okay, so Kyle Loesch would work for Brewers Cardinals.
Yep.
Yeah, let's do it. Dude, if we can do this with all twins. Come on.
4%.
That's good.
Okay, who played for
Birds, Brewers,
yeah, this might
JJ
be-
Hardy, but I think that'll be high.
Let's put that in our bank here.
Yep.
I'm scribbling down names that we can go back to. So JJ Hardy, we can go back to Nick Punto for the other square. We've got those. So let's come back to those later. So let's go 200K. We have 2 minutes left. We can also say screw that. We need a Cardinal 200 strikeout guy and an Oriole 200 strikeout guy.
Well, Baltimore had that great array of pitchers with like Jimmy Palmer and Michael.
Robin Roberts. I don't think Robin. I think Robin
he didn't
Roberts
play
for
for
the
Baltimore.
Phillies.
Yeah, he played for
He did.
Philadelphia. I
I
don't
have
remember him
I
as
feel
an
like I have a
Oriole.
Robin Roberts Baltimore baseball card.
Really? I don't remember him as a
He was a
Baltimore
Philly
Oriole.
too.
But you got Jim Palmer, who's going to be high. You've got like Mike Flanagan, although I don't know he had 200. But to Declan's point, those guys all pitched a ton of innings back then.
Early guys or 90s guys. I mean, Mike Mussina is going to be high on the rarity
Yeah.
score.
Did Moose get there?
Well,
He
but he's
logged
going to be.
so many innings, but like.
But if he
never a
did, he's
big
going to be really high. I think we should go
Yeah.
back far. I think we need to go back farther.
Ubaldo Jimenez pitched for the Orioles, but he wasn't a big strikeout guy, so I don't think.
And he wasn't great
He-
for them, right?
He was, but he walked so many guys too. I don't trust that for 200.
What, Judd, are you sure about any of these? I mean, Jim Palmer is a Hall of Famer.
Jim
right?
Palmer, yeah.
I feel like we should do that. I'm more sure about Punto as an A than Jim Palmer as a 200 strikeout guy.
Really?
These old school pitchers, like,
Oh,
dude,
dang
I
it!
knew it. I told
Dang
you.
it!
How'd you know?
Why would
Dang
you
it!
know? I told you.
How did Jim Palmer not to get to 200 strikeouts?
Because they don't strike. Like, guys had no strikeout rates back then. Guys were like 4 Ks per 9 back in the day.
I'm done.
I raised a lot of doubt there, okay? I just want you guys to know that.
I'm done. I'm done.
Okay, now please try Punto as an A. I just want to see
No,
how
I think
much
you're right
we've
on that.
effed ourselves here. Watch it be 0.5%. 0.3%, dude. Are you serious?
Damn it.
Son of a... We have 2 more guesses. Let's finish it out. Let's finish it out. Let's finish it out. JJ Hardy. I mean, JJ Hardy's not going to be that high.
Didn't Nelson Cruz start with the Brewers or Texas, or before he went to Texas?
Was he a Brewers prospect?
Yeah.
Was he?
Yeah, but
Did he play for him? Did he come up with
play
him?
for him? I think he came
know
up
if he
as
did.
a Brewer.
JJ
Hardy's the common one.
I mean, it doesn't even matter at this point. I'm gonna look up Jim Palmer now.
This is all my fault. This is 2 days in a row. This is two. No, not 2
Dude,
days.
man, I don't know if we can. We can't trust your old school knowledge anymore. I don't know.
I mean, Jim Palmer. How did Jim Palmer not have 200 strikeouts?
Chris Carpenter.
Oh my God, dude. Oh my God. This is the worst beat of all time. Jim Palmer in 1970 had 199 strikeouts.
God.
But by the way, though, in 305 innings, because these guys didn't Strozal pitch to contact back in the day.
I'm putting Chris Carpenter for Cardinals.
Oh.
Dang it.
So we would have been in line. Granted, JJ Hardy. So we would have been in line.
What was Hardy?
Hardy was 23, so he was high, and I used Chris Carpenter for Cardinals.
That's pretty good, dude.
Boy.
So we would have been
100. Look at these years. 75, 193. 77, 193.
Yeah, it sounds like below 200 to me.
Oh God, look at these points.
Why can't we swear on this show?
Well, we can't.
I'd really like.
We
to
put it on the
swear.
radio.
I'd
The problem
really
is we
like
put
to-
these shows on the radio, which is FCC regulated.
I'd really like to
makes my
drop an
life more
F-bomb
difficult.
right
Please
now.
don't do that.
Damn it!
We had 5 guys of 1 and under, and
I'm
4
sitting
of
out the
under
next
1.
one. That's it. I'm just gonna sit out the next one. I'm just not gonna do anything.
God.
That hurts.
Man,
I'm done.
Dude, we rolled through some of these too. I think
hold on a second.
here's
Hold
the
on.
thing.
Hold on.
Here's the lesson. Old school pitchers' strikeout rates were like 4, 5, 6 strikeouts per 9. The new school guys are like 8, 9, 10 strikeouts per 9. So when you're thinking about, well, they threw a lot of innings, they also like didn't strike out as many batters. That's a lesson that we're learning the hard way here. Like they called Walter Johnson the big train.
Only 5.
Oh, and
only
here's the worst thing.
5
Strike
guys
anyone.
have done it.
Here's the worst part. In the year 2000,
Less than 5 guys, technically.
Mike Mussina had 210 strikeouts.
Moose did it.
Well, yeah, I think
Eric
we knew-
Bedard did it.
We knew Moose did it.
Oh, I thought Declan questioned it.
Oh, I would have pushed back
I had
on
some
that at the end.
I had some questions,
we were looking
but I
for
would
a
have.
rarity
I would
guy.
have. Yeah.
My issue with
I-
Mussina was like he's going to be 40% and ruin our rarity score.
All right. Well, I'm
Yeah.
effing done right now.
All right. Well, that's
I
a
keep it clean for
depressing
the
way to end the Score on Our Twin show here.
I'd like to
but we'll
apologize. I'd like to apologize for the second time in 3 days. I am. You know what I am? You know what I am? I am April's Max Kepler.
It's a tough scene here.
Like it's going to be
tough
a
scene.
closed door following the Twin show. You're going to close the clubhouse,
soccer.
and you guys are going to tell me how much I suck, and I'm going to brood.
It's a tough scene here. Well, we'll see
What
if the
an
Twins can
idiot.
take 2 out of 3 from the Mets this weekend, and we will regroup
Damn
with
it.
another immaculate grid on Monday here. It's the Score on
So
Our Twin show.
stupid.
We just want the Twins to win a playoff
Idiot.
game.